What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for yet another Tottenham update. We're going to go into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news, and where else to start but our captain, our leader, our legend, Son Heung-Min. So obviously we brought you yesterday that there is interest from the MLS, from LAFC, and there's more on that situation coming out in the press. First of all, from Fabrizio Romano, saying that LAFC have presented their initial proposal to Heung-Min Son to make them their new star. Decision is now up to Son. He will speak to Thomas Frank and clarify his future as soon as possible. And the Daily Mirror are saying that Tottenham are considering 15 to 20 million transfer bid for Son Heung-Min, but he won't leave yet due to the pre-season agreement. Oh man, it really is coming close to that time, isn't it?
Definitely seems to be hotting up. More and more rumours are circulating about this transfer. I don't think there's any smoke without fire with this one. Is it a case of LA going for him with little hope of actually getting him, or have they got some indication of encouragement? We have heard from Ali Gold that he's definitely more open to the MLS, and he's even more open to Saudi, but we know he's rejected Saudi in the past, and maybe MLS suits him a bit better. But it's just a shame if he was to go to a league like that for me, even last season, in a bad season for him, he got 15, 16 goal contributions in the Premier League, got over 20 in all competitions. So he's still putting up pretty decent numbers, even in a season where he wasn't at his best and maybe wasn't utilised at his best. So I still think he's got a lot to give. He keeps himself in great condition. So I think it would be a shame if he was to go off to the MLS at this stage. I understand he's 33. I understand, a lot of players that age, especially players in his position, it's tough for them to kind of keep up the standards against when you're comparing to younger players who are fresher, who have more ability to run and beat men for pace and things like that. But I still think you put Son in the right positions and he'll be deadly, and I still think he can provide a lot. So it's a shame. It's a shame if that is how it's going to end, and if it ends now. I think it's a shame, but it's also, he ends on a high. He ends winning a trophy and the glory of that. So he's ended on a positive, but I don't know. I just feel like it's too early still for him.
Yeah, I still think he's got a lot more to give this season. Maybe it's a case of Spurs should just let's see how it runs for 6 months. Let's see how it runs till January, and then in January you've got a month to go until the MLS season starts. So I mean, it's a good opportunity to maybe give it a trial and error for the first half of the season and then see how it goes. I think Thomas Frank can get a lot out of him next season. I think Ange wasn't utilising him in the best way possible. I think he kind of overworked him, overplayed him, overused him, and used him in the wrong areas of the pitch. So, yeah, I do think we're letting him go a bit too early. And I think, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what we think. It doesn't matter what the club thinks. It all matters what Son Heung-Min feels himself. And if he feels himself that he's ready at this stage of his career to go to the MLS, then that's up to him. There's nothing that we can do to sway his decision. So it is going to be heartbreaking. It is going to be, one of those moments in Spurs history where you're just like, wow, I can't believe this is happening right now. But you got to say, if he leaves now, he goes down as probably, I would say, Spurs' best player or most legendary player of the Premier League era.
100%. In terms of the price, they're talking about 15 to 20 million potentially. We heard other people suggesting Tottenham want as much as 50 million. Obviously, we're not going to get anywhere near that. Is 15 to 20 a fair price? I guess so for a 33-year-old in the last year of his contract.
I think in an ideal world we probably could get a bit more, but I think Spurs are actually going to show him the respect here of we'll let you do what you want to do and probably accept a fee lower than what we value him at this moment in time. You've got to remember it's not just a fee on what you're paying on his level of football and his age, but it's also everything that comes with it as well. And whatever you want to say, that does play into account. So I think he's worth more than 15 to 20 million. But if we do let him go for 15 to 20 million, that's credit to Spurs of letting Son have his wish at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely learn more when it comes to Tottenham's transfer activity. If we're being heavily linked with left wingers and players in that position, I think the writing will be on the wall at that point. At the moment, obviously, we still got the tour in Hong Kong and Korea, so we know for sure he's going to be part of the team for that. So we're not going to get anything imminent on Son's future just yet. We're only going to know really. It's only going to be rumours, I guess, until after that point. Nothing will be confirmed because I don't think they'll want to go into the tour with even like any certainty, like any pre-agreements in place, because I don't think they'll want that to come out during the tour. I don't think, unless it helps the tour somehow that it's for sure that Son's last tour there. Would that? I don't know if that would help or not. So I think they probably want to give the impression Son's definitely a Spurs player at that point. And then after the tour, I guess we'll learn more definitive stuff. We'll start hearing things. But definitely we need to sign a left winger if Son is going to leave. We need more competition in that position.
Yeah, no, 100%. If he leaves, we definitely need a left winger. But back onto your point before, in terms of what's really frustrating is that we don't have a home friendly to finish off the friendlies this season, which he won't be able to get a goodbye. Once again, a top player is leaving this club, and the fans won't be able to give him a goodbye, especially someone like him. You know, Harry Kane didn't get that opportunity as well. He had to come back in a Bayern Munich shirt for us to give him a bit of a send-off. So that's very frustrating. But you got to say, if he is going to the MLS, he can come in kind of December, January, and maybe give him a bit of a send-off like we did with Hugo.
Or maybe we can even do what was it when one of those MLS 1 month loan deals? Don't they do that sometimes?
Yeah,
we've seen those before. I think also a big question mark as well is he's definitely going to be here for the Korea tour, but will he be here for the Super Cup? That's also a big question mark. Could that be his final game potentially? That Super Cup, and that would be, especially if he does something in that game, that would be unbelievable way to end. So I would like him to be here for the Super Cup. I think as well, it's probably, I don't know if there's enough time to get someone in between the Korea tour and the Super Cup. Maybe a bit, I guess, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that, I think it'd be a shame if he leaves before then.
You would have thought that Spurs have been planning for this eventuality for a while now. Like, look, Son's not been getting older. If he's been refusing to sign a contract, then it'd be very daft of Spurs in the background not to be planning for his exit. So I'm sure they've got a list drawn up of what targets that they want to go for, if not conversations started already.
Yeah, but I do wonder if Tell was their succession plan or not.
Bloody hope not. Bloody hope not. We need someone on top of him. We need someone on top of him.
I agree.
Apart from Son, let's talk about another star in Mikey Moore, left winger. Tottenham have reluctantly allowed Mikey Moore to leave on loan this transfer window. The 17-year-old wants to get playing time and come back to compete for a first-team starting 11 spot next season. And that's from the Footy Insider. And to be honest, I think this probably is the best course of action.
In a weird way, I think Son leaving might even mean we need to loan more out even a bit more, because I feel like if we sell Son and sign someone who's beaten more in his prime to replace Son, that's actually going to limit more. That's going to limit more than it would have if Son was to stay. Because if Son's staying and we don't obviously sign a left winger and Moore stays, then you've got Son there, who's a player who's a bit aging and he's going to have to be managed, and there's actually probably going to be more minutes available. But if we sign someone alongside Tell, all of a sudden this player's not going to, whoever this fictional player, I don't know who it is, but let's say it's like a ready-made left winger ready to start games who's, big money signing, they're actually not going to, they're going to be relied upon more than Son would have been. And they're going to demand more minutes. So it's actually hampers, in a way, more that's potentially if Son does leave, and there's actually going to be, in a weird way, less game time. So for me, yeah, I think I'm not against the loan deal. Obviously, he's such a massive talent. I want him to, I'd love him to be on the trajectory of some of the other young, like real talent, like WeAre and people like that, who we've seen perform unbelievable in the Premier League. I just don't know if he's quite there yet. I think he's not far, because we've seen him in Europa League and stuff. And I think he can do a job, but I just don't think he can be relied on consistently just yet. Maybe he needs another year development to truly be a player who can be readily available in the Premier League. So I think, look, he's still very young, and I think we need just a bit of patience. The guy's clearly got so much talent. We even saw that in the friendly against Reading on the weekend, how much talent he has. So I think either way, I'm not against it, but I think I would be super excited if he was to go on loan. He was playing regularly, and we keep tabs on how he progresses, because I just want to see him on the pitch more. And I think a loan deal would probably do that. It's hard to say his name and keep saying the word more. So yeah, I'm not against the loan. It just, I guess, depends where we see it. Is it Championship? Is it lower end Premier League? Is it the talks of Dortmund? Is it a loan deal like that? Like, I don't know what the right thing for him is.
Yeah, look, I think anywhere where he's going to go play consistently and be a star of a team, I think would do the world of good. I think someone like him now, he just needs to play consistent football week in, week out, and get some consistency and some rhythm in his game. And I think once he gets that, comes back to Tottenham, I think it'll be the world of good for him, the world of good for us, and he'll flourish next season at Spurs. I'm pretty sure of that. He just needs that consistency. Yeah. And last but not least, there are some quotes from Mattis Tell. We did an interview with Sky Sports yesterday, and some interesting stuff there. And he was talking about if he spoke with Thomas Frank before signing for the club permanently. He says, no, but I watched some games of Brentford last year. I watched to get an idea of how they play. So it's interesting that he never actually spoke to Thomas Frank before signing.
Yeah, I remember when we were having this debate about whether he was a club signing or, did Frank want this signing. I was making the argument that I think Frank for sure would have pushed for it, but clearly it was a club signing if he didn't speak to Frank.
I think I said he was a club signing, didn't I?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. So, it seems as though that was true. It seems as though if he didn't speak to Frank, it can't be a Frank signing, can it? You would have thought they would have had conversations, but clearly the club
Frank would have said yes or no, though.
Yes, but you just would have thought before he signed for Spurs that he would have had a chat with the new manager about where he fits in and these kind of things. And we decided not to do that. So,
he's so fully
COYS.
Just so fully COYS.
Exactly. He's just desperate to Spurs. Yeah, fantastic. Look, I do think that's interesting, but I just thought that would have been the case. Obviously, Ange, he did have a conversation with him before signing on loan. And you got to remember, this guy signed for us not after winning Europa League. He signed for us while we were in an unbelievable injury crisis and down the league and not playing well at all. And that was the moment he decided to sign on loan. And obviously, we've gone on to win the Europa League, and now we've got him permanently. And I know people have seen him over 6 months and are not so excited about what he can do because of what we've seen of him so far. But you got to remember, when we signed him on loan, it was seen as a massive coup at that point, and he was seen as one of the most exciting youngsters in Europe. And that doesn't just change because of a little spell on loan where he hasn't maybe shown his best. I'm still super excited about Tell, and I'm sure Frank will know how to get the best out of him.
Yeah, for sure. And then he's talking about on him choosing to stay at Tottenham, and he says, I can say that the project was great for me. I appreciated my time here, teammates, fans, everything was very good. And that's why I wanted to stay here. I just try and help my team, my club, and have more success. And I think you could tell as well pretty early on, he was very comfortable here. He was very happy here. He seemed like more comfortable than most just to go into the fans, whether it be good, whether it be bad, call for some calm, celebrate, whatever it may be. So he just has seemed comfortable here from the very beginning, really.
Yeah, I think that was a very interesting moment, obviously in the Fulham game, going in after into the crowd after the game and saying it was very interesting, and it came to be true. He said, "We need your support. Everyone needs to be calm." He was basically saying, "We're going to that Europa League, and just give us that support." And obviously, we went on to win that Europa League, and everyone, we had a brilliant last few days of the season, and that was great. So he's obviously decided to sign for us on the back of that. He's obviously got a friend here, Odebear, as well, who he plays with at international level. So I'm sure he's helped him settle in, and he seems to be someone who you would have thought coming into this team, especially given that he left Bayern because he wanted more regular game time, he I would have thought he might be in the kind of mentality where if he wasn't getting the regular starts, that he wasn't really. That he was getting regular starts, but he wasn't like a fixture in the team. He wasn't guaranteed game time. Didn't start the final. Didn't start the semi-final. I don't think wasn't starting the big game. So, if you were taking assumptions about him, how he kind of forced to move out of Bayern because he wanted game time, you would have thought would he be disgruntled with that, but he isn't. You know, he's got on with the job. He's even looked at the whole picture and said, actually, I want to stay here permanently. He hasn't even let that get to him. And I think that shows a good mentality.
The thing is, I don't think that it was him trying to really push for a move away from Bayern. I think it was Bayern trying to push him out the door. I think that's what it was. I think if he had the choice at that moment in time, if Bayern weren't trying to push him out, I think he would have been happy to stay there. So
yeah, it's hard to know exactly.
Yeah, but it just felt like at the time, like Bayern were just trying to push him out, and that came to pass as well at the summer, where they're willing to accept a much lower fee for the option to buy. So look, I think Tell, he's got a good mentality about him. He just wants to go, he wants to play, he wants to improve, and I think he'll do that this season. Very much looking forward to it.
I mean, it was a big loan fee we paid for him. It wasn't exactly like 10 million. If they were forcing him out, I don't know if they charge that much. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, they get what they got what they could get. You know what I mean? Like it's what Spurs were willing to pay. It's what Man United were not willing to pay, and they found a suitor for him that were willing to pay the money. That's the reality. If Spurs weren't willing to pay that, would they have lowered the fee? Who knows? They might have done.
We know that Man United weren't, and they didn't. But yeah, I don't know.
Spurs came in and were willing to do it. So if Spurs weren't willing to pay that, I don't know. I'm sure some sort of middle ground could have been met. But yeah, look, we know that Bayern Munich have been offering him out. So that's the reality. And he also was talking about, was it an easy choice to stay at Tottenham? And he said, I would say yes. That's what I'm saying. Fully
My
poised.
guy, Mattis. I think he's going to prove a lot of people wrong this year. I'm really like. I think obviously we signed him, and no one's really talking about him because obviously we signed him a while ago. But I'm really confident this guy's going to be a really good player for us. I'm really looking forward to how Frank's going to use him. We haven't seen him yet under Frank because he didn't play that first friendly. We'll get a first taste of Tell under Frank on Saturday.
Yeah, in one of the two friendlies for sure. But yeah, look, that is all from us in terms of a Tottenham update. Be back with you soon. Sim and Brian giving you predicted lineups for both games tomorrow. So a big up to everyone in the chat. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.